Should you keep training for climbing while injured? Maybe. Hey, it's Brian with some more Bomber Beta. If you guys like climbing hard stuff, consider subscribing because that's all I talk about. So before I start this video, I want to give out a huge disclaimer. I'm not an expert, nor am I a medical professional. If you guys are injured, make sure to get your injury diagnosed and treated by medical professionals. Now, that being said, this video is about training while injured, but it's a little bit different than what you might think. So I recently read a research paper by some professors at the Edith Cowan University in Australia that suggested that training an uninjured arm might help retain muscle in an injured arm. Now, this is a very interesting subject because this is a common thing that happens to climbers. So I think it's something that we should take into consideration. Now, like I said before, your injury should be being treated by a medical professional, and this might be something that you would want to share with them and see what they have to say. But ultimately, make sure to listen to them. So I'm going to do a brief overview of the study. We had 30 participants that had their arms immobilized for 8 hours a day for 4 total weeks. Now, this was split into 3 groups. One did no exercise at all, one did concentric and eccentric exercises, and the other one did eccentric exercises only. And just to be clear, concentric would be like flexing your bicep, and concentric would be like letting it open up while under a load. Now, at first glance, this sounds great. If you get an injury in your right arm, just continue training with your left arm the best you can, and your right arm should stay strong. But there are a few considerations we need to look at before just jumping in. So the first thing is we had a pretty small sample size, only 30 participants. I think to really know this for sure, you'd have to research a lot more participants and make sure that it actually holds true as the sample size increases. Also, they only had their arms immobilized for 8 hours a day. These were not injured subjects, they were uninjured, and they forced them to stop moving their arm for 8 hours a day. So that's just something to consider. We also can't say for sure that this would apply to tendons, especially something like a finger pulley or a flexor tendon strain, which is extremely common in climbers. So that's something that would need to be investigated further. So we have to consider that any exercise that we do to train our uninjured part of our body cannot aggravate the injury that we currently have. So for example, if you had a left shoulder injury and you were trying to do, let's say, one arm pull-ups with your right arm, you might have some movement in your body that aggravates your left shoulder. So just be extremely careful with this, and your physical therapist or doctor or medical professional should be able to determine this for you. One last thing to consider is that this study only lasted for 4 weeks, and we don't know if the results would have held through 8 weeks or 16 weeks, which could be pretty typical for a climbing injury, especially something like a pulley strain or a flexor tendon strain. So this study suggests that if you have an injured arm and you train the uninjured arm, you might reduce your muscle loss and strength loss in the injured arm, ultimately being almost the same level of strength as you were when you got injured, so that you can reduce overall recovery time. So this would be extremely useful for climbers because you could ultimately get back to climbing at around the same level that you were when you were uninjured if you keep up with your uninjured part of your body. Now, this study only included arms, so this is something that we need to consider as well, but this is a very interesting study that might be able to help climbers recover from injury in the future. So like I said before, if there's anything in this video that I made a mistake on or misquoted, I'm going to pin it in a comment below and list all that stuff out. And if you guys see anything that was incorrect in this video, please post it in the comments below and I'll make sure to add it to that pinned comment so you can make sure all the information is accurate and easy for you guys to find. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give me a like and I'll catch you in the next one.